Before the advent of modern telescopes, astronomers could only imagine and draw on paper what the surface of our star and the planets of the solar system looked like. Now that we have advanced technology and telescopes, we can get up close and take detailed pictures of the planets deep inside our solar system. And when they got the final images, scientists were shocked by the result. Get ready to see space like you've never seen it before. The Sun is our star and the largest body in the solar system, accounting for 99.86% of the total mass of all objects. It is a star with the energy of 1 trillion nuclear bombs per second, and its first photograph was taken in 1845 by French physicists Louis Fizeau and Jean Foucault. Now compare this black and white photo with recent NASA footage. There's also an interesting video taken by Solar Dynamics Observatory on July 19, 2012, that captures a deadly coronal mass ejection that was moving at over 900 miles per second. Exploring Mercury has been very problematic for many years. Even though Mercury is separated from Earth by only one planet, Venus, you had to wait until sunset or sunrise to see the planet from Earth. For a long time, it was widely believed that in different periods of time, scientists observed different celestial bodies. Accordingly, Mercury had several names at first. With the development of technology, the situation has become much clearer. Over time, researchers have figured out what size Mercury is. Its radius reaches 1,500 miles. This value is equivalent to almost 40% of the radius of our planet. So Mercury is the smallest planet in the solar system. For many years, only a telescope was used to study the planet, and scientists had a very difficult time because of the huge amount of sunlight surrounding Mercury. The situation changed for the better in the second half of the 20th century, when in 1974, the American space probe Mariner 10 was sent to the planet. During its mission, the device provided images of almost half of Mercury's surface. In addition, scientists were able to find out what the planet has a magnetic field and what temperature of the surface. It turned out that the composition of Mercury's atmosphere was dominated by helium, and the atmospheric layer itself is quite rarefied. After Mariner 10, but in August 2004, the mission to explore Mercury began Messenger. The probe reached the planet 11 years after launch. As a result, we got a lot of images that captured almost all areas of Mercury. Thanks to this spacecraft, we learned that there is a wide variety of landforms on the surface. In the hot meridian is an interesting object called Caloris Planitia. It's called that for a reason, because it's the hottest area on the planet. There, the surface temperature is about 800 degrees Fahrenheit. In general, Caloris Planitia is a huge impact crater, which occupies about 2% of Mercury. Nearly 4 billion years ago, a massive asteroid slammed into the planet. The impact deformed a section of Mercury that was then a young protoplanet. The crust then barely had time to harden, and from the collision out came a huge amount of hot lava, and now, on the surface of Mercury, we can observe a bright spot, which clearly contrasts with the area around and formed this section of the planet. You might think Mercury is the hottest planet because it is closest to the Sun, but in fact, our next planet is the hottest in the solar system. The second planet from the Sun, and Earth's closest neighbor, is Venus. Since ancient times, it has been believed that beneath the thick cloud layer of our misty neighbor grows almost a Garden of Eden. But unfortunately, all space probes that managed to visit Venus immediately dispelled these rainbow illusions. The first device that managed to land on the surface of the planet was the station Venera 13. Sent into space on October 30th, 1981, the station arrived on the planet in March of the following year. It transmitted to Earth 22 color images. What appeared before the probe's cameras? For the Pioneer, Venus turned out to be absolutely lifeless, gloomy, and dangerous world with an average temperature of 850 degrees Fahrenheit. The surface of the planet is covered with brown soil, boulders, a network of faults, ancient craters, and mountains. The climate here is harsh, and this news received from probes, much to the disappointment, adherents of the theory that Venus is similar to Earth. However, it was later learned that if it were not for the thick cloud layer, the surface of the planet would not be so hot and stuffy. The temperature probably wouldn't have exceeded 175 degrees Fahrenheit either. Earth is our home, the third planet from the Sun, and the only place in our star system where life is present. Every day, we can see beautiful images from Earth's orbit, and the ISS transmits highly detailed photos of our cities, magnificent nature, and the planet's skyline taken from 260 miles above. But it wasn't always this way. The first picture of Earth was taken less than 100 years ago by a V-2 rocket in 1946. And then, 23 years later, humans were able to visit the Moon and take a Terminator of Earth. The Apollo 17 mission also managed to take a legendary photo, astronaut planting a flag on the lunar surface with Earth in the background. Then, the first picture of the Earth and Moon in one frame was taken on September 18, 1977 by Voyager 1 from a distance of 725,000 miles from Earth. This crescent-shaped photograph of the Earth and the Moon is the first of its kind ever taken by a spacecraft, and perhaps the most popular photo of Earth is a delightful image called Blue Marble, the most detailed color image of the entire Earth taken before 2002. Using a collection of satellite photos, scientists and visualizers stitched together the results of months of observations of the Earth's surface, oceans, sea ice, and clouds into a true color mosaic without any seams. In the future, our second home, the fourth planet from the Sun, is Mars. This planet has always been of great interest to people for centuries, but it was only in the 1960s, during the space race between the United States and the USSR, that it was actively studied. Then the USSR launched 9 probes in the direction of Mars, but none of them reached their goal. 3 of them crashed at launch, 3 failed to enter Earth orbit, 1 reached Mars, but failed to enter its orbit, and 2 more encountered malfunctions after they arrived in the Red Planet system. NASA fared a little better. In 1965, the American research probe Mariner 4 reached the Red Planet. The probe flew past the planet, but sent to Earth the first detailed photos of Mars, as well as information about the atmosphere and temperature on the surface. Then, the initiative was again taken over by Soviet spacecraft. In 1971, the Mars 2 probe was the first to reach the planet's surface, but its successes were limited to this. Due to a malfunction of onboard electronics, Mars 2 crashed on landing. In the same year, its successor, Mars 3, safely survived the landing, but after only 15 seconds, communication with the apparatus was interrupted. The first vehicles to reach Mars safely were the US Viking 1 and Viking 2 modules in 1975. Both landers lasted much longer than planned on the planet's surface and collected a lot of information, but much more useful were the remaining modules in orbit, which during their service captured the surface of Mars in such detail that maps with this data are still used today. In 2003, 2 more rovers went to Mars, Spirit and Opportunity. During their mission, designed for 90 Martian days, both rovers were to study sedimentary rocks on the planet's surface and look for traces of the existence of water in the past. Soon to the Red Planet went to the famous rover Curiosity. However, the rover owes its popularity, rather than success in the study, and modern means of communication, thanks to which he can broadcast from the surface of the planet almost live. The first shots of Curiosity landing on the surface of the planet were shown by NASA in Times Square in New York, where to watch the event gathered more than 1,000 people. Particular popularity of the rover added a kind of selfies, photos of Curiosity on the background of the Martian surface, made with the help of a selfie stick. Another stunning photo of this rover is a view of the rising sun, which opens from the crater Endeavour, which has a diameter of 13 miles. Also, the recently launched James Webb Telescope has already captured detailed images of Mars from Earth's orbit. But even more interesting is a photo of Earth from Mars taken by the HiRISE system in 2016. Let's move on to the gas giants. The 5th planet from the Sun is the gas giant Jupiter. It is considered the largest of the planets. Its mass is 2.5 times greater than all the planets of the solar system combined, and in its volume can easily fit 1,300 celestial bodies the size of our Earth. Impressive, isn't it? It is surrounded by 79 satellites and a ring that is 12.5 thousand miles wide. Curiously, there are no seasons on the gas giant, and the darkened areas are much hotter than those illuminated by the sun. And the planet also rains rainstorms of diamonds. When they reach the planet's core, they melt and turn into a huge cluster of liquid carbon. As for the actual pictures, you're probably used to thinking that its color is mostly white and red, but is it? Generally yes, but not really. Thanks to the interplanetary station Juno, which was launched on August 11, 2011, in the first place we got incredible images of the planet, and in the second scientists found on Jupiter a huge number of storms of blue color, which completely cover the northern hemisphere and in general ratio can reach 20–30% of the area of the whole Jupiter. Their speed can reach about 375 miles per hour. One of the most beautiful planets in the solar system, a giant planet with rings and simply a symbol of our channel, Saturn. Almost all of the magnificent images of Saturn and its amazing moons, Enceladus, Titan, and Mimas, were obtained thanks to the Cassini space exploration vehicle. It left Earth in 1997, in time to pass Venus and Jupiter. It entered Saturn's orbit 19 years ago, on July 1, 2004. Once there, Cassini became the planet's first artificial satellite, and one of its first observations was a hexagonal storm on the planet. Interest in this structure intensified after Cassini transmitted its image. Although before this unusual hurricane was noticed by Voyager, the equipment of the late 20th century did not allow to demonstrate the vortex in sufficient resolution, so it was possible to consider it fully only now. Carefully studied up close hellstorm, raging at the North Pole of Saturn, shocked scientists from around the world as the appearance of a giant hexagon with an absolutely correct shape with a diameter of 15,500 miles could not be explained in any way. The apparatus transmitted to Earth information about the characteristics of the storm. It goes deep into the planet for 62 miles, and the winds here blow at speeds up to 900 miles per hour. It is noteworthy that the walls of the storm are perfectly flat, and in 2013, an even better image of the stable structure raging at Saturn's pole was obtained. The image was taken from a distance of 1.4 million miles. Another interesting observation of the spacecraft were epic auroras. Phenomena of similar scale were first recorded in the solar system on Saturn. Polar lights girdle the poles of the huge planet and are dazzling continuous ovals. Cassini also found out a remarkable fact. The greater the pressure of the solar wind, the more clearly visible polar lights on Saturn. And in general, over the years, Cassini has taken a lot of very spectacular images, not only of storms, but also of Saturn itself. One of these images you can even see on the cover of our channel. But even on these shots, the apparatus did not end its research. In the lens of Cassini, was able to get practical all the most famous satellites of Saturn, such as Japet, Enceladus, Hyperion. In one of the images of the probe, you can see the two largest satellites of Saturn, Titan and Rhea. Saturn's rings have also become a subject for study, and after many years of work, we can see stunning photos of Saturn's rings from absolutely different angles. The most distant planets in the solar system are Uranus and Neptune, so studying them has been a challenge so far. Of all the probes ever launched by mankind, only one, Voyager 2, has reached these giants. It was able to fly near Uranus in January 1986 and reached Neptune in August 1989. That's when we got the first pictures of these planets. But the exploration of these giants fortunately didn't end there. The images of the planets were obtained by Hubble as part of the Outer Planet Atmospheres Legacy program, designed for long-term observations of the giant planets to better understand their atmospheric dynamics. In the new image, a giant white cloud can be seen at the North Pole of Uranus, which scientists hypothesize was formed as a result of seasonal changes in the planet's atmospheric flow. At this point, Uranus is approaching the middle of its summer season. Next to the polar cap, a smaller bright cloud of methane ice is visible in the image. And in Hubble's image of Neptune, A large dark storm in the northern hemisphere, named Great Dark Spot after Jupiter's Great Red Spot, can be seen. Its size is staggering, 8,100 miles long and 4,100 miles wide. Near the storm, the telescope saw another atmospheric feature: bright white clouds that have been noticed near dark anticyclones before. Scientists believe such clouds occur when an airstream moves upward and meets a dark vortex, resulting in the formation of methane ice crystals. On the edge of the solar system, 6 billion kilometers from the Sun, the dwarf planet Pluto slowly rotates. Discovered in 1930 by American astronomer Clyde Tombaugh, Pluto was initially declared the 9th planet in the solar system. However, as more and more objects comparable to Pluto in size, mass, and composition were discovered, astronomers began to question whether Pluto could really be considered a planet. And in 2006, they decided that it wasn't. Pluto was reclassified into the new category of dwarf planet. Before Hubble was launched in 1990, the Naval Observatory in the United States had discovered Pluto's largest satellite, Charon. After Hubble's launch, its eye was set on this small system to see what else could be learned about it. Because of its favorable position outside of Earth's atmosphere, the Space Telescope was able to detect 4 additional moons of Pluto. Years of Hubble observations have revealed some of Pluto's features, seeing the planet's polar regions as well as some large bright spots. But Hubble's high-resolution images can't compete with photos from the probe, which has passed close to the dwarf planet. New Horizons was able to capture one of the most highly detailed images of Pluto, which is amazingly clear. Also in the future, astronomers plan to use the infrared vision of Hubble's successor, the James Webb Space Telescope, a joint project of NASA, European, and Canadian space agencies. It will be able to study the surface chemistry of Pluto, its satellites, and many other celestial bodies that are much farther away than Pluto. Moving on. The first ever photo of a black hole we were able to get on April 10, 2019, then Event Horizon Telescope published the first images of the black hole M87, which is located in the galaxy of the same name, and its size is simply amazing. Its diameter is larger than the orbit of Pluto by a factor of 2. Also, we received images of Sagittarius A. It is a black hole located in the center of the Milky Way, with dimensions of 27 million miles in diameter and a mass of 4 million solar masses. Now let's head into the depths of space and take a look at some of the most beautiful images James Webb has taken in his so far short tenure. In the last days of August 2022, James Webb captured the galaxy M87 in the constellation of Pisces. It is 32 million light-years from Earth. Scientists call its shape grandiose because its spiral arms are visible and well-defined, unlike many of the irregular structures in other galaxies. In them, the telescope was able to photograph thin filaments of gas and dust surrounding the nuclear star cluster at the center. The next landmark image was of the galaxy cluster SMACS 0723. This photo became the deepest and clearest infrared image of the universe in history. The image was unveiled by US President Joe Biden on July 11, 2022. James Webb showed the massive cluster of galaxies in the constellation Volans as it was 4.6 billion years ago. Earth did not exist then. James Webb's other discovery was Stephan's Quintet, a group of 5 galaxies in the constellation Pegasus. The telescope showed never-before-seen details. Some stars burst into flames at birth, while others, young, sparked brightly in groups. Tails of gas, dust, and stars are being pulled out of several galaxies as a result of gravitational interaction. James Webb has also captured huge shock waves. They form because one of the galaxies crashes into the others. We also got a picture of the NGC 3324 region in the Carina Nebula. For the first time ever, mankind has gotten an image of previously unseen parts of our galaxy where new stars are forming. The landscape looks like mountains against the night sky. It is actually the edge of a gaseous depression inside NGC 3324. It was separated from the rest of the nebula by stellar winds with strong ultraviolet emission originating from the new stars. They are located in the center of the region, above the photographed area. Who knows what other beautiful images we'll get from space in the future, but we can say for sure that the development of technology will allow us to further explore deep space. And maybe one day, we'll be able to find signs of another civilization. In the meantime, we recommend you to watch our video about how humanity will evolve in the next 1,000 years. If you like this video, then put a like and subscribe to the channel, and share your opinion in the comments. Thanks for watching.